Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the TEZUCOMI Deluxe box sets from Magnetic Press. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, before going any further, I do want to thank the folks at Magnetic Press for sending us a copy of this wonderful collection right here. And as you can see, these come sealed in plastic, and this is the way they package all of their Kickstarter books, so the corners don't get dented upon delivery. Of course, things happen, but they do try to prevent as much as possible. So the first thing we're going to do is get this out of its shrink wrap. Start with the small book first. I say small book, but it's actually a small slipcase edition. And yeah, these just kind of fall right off. And there is a little, this isn't a leaflet, actually. This is your plate right here that says, Artists of the World pay tribute to the works of Osamu Tezuka. Manga box set. The number right here, 267 out of 500. And I want to say they're probably both the same. We'll look at what's inside here in a little bit. I mean, they're both the same number, I assume. And now let's open the big guy up. Yeah, and these just kind of fall right out. And here's your plate for this one. So they are different. This one is 312 and this one is 267. This one's out of 500 and this is out of 750. And featuring Astro Boy and Blackjack there. So that's really interesting. But these, yeah, they're just go with each book. These are nice. Almost like a postcard type of... Yeah, they're not glossy finish. They do have that gold border around there. But these are nice. Okay, now let's take a look at these slipcases. Okay, now that we've got these out of the plastic and we saw the plates, let's look at the boxes themselves. So this is the slipcase of the manga edition of the TEZUCOMI books. And it's got the same design on the deluxe, the premium deluxe edition slipcase. Artists of the World pay tribute to the works of Osamu Tezuka. And again, it is a slipcase edition. Red on the inside. With two books being magnetic press. I love the fact that you can tell it's a magnetic press by the rounded edges. It's such a nice thing to do because immediately when you go to a bookstore, you can tell right away what you're looking at. But these do have silver gilded pages here. So there's 2 volumes of the deluxe hardcovers that come in this beautiful slipcase. And 2 volumes of the manga versions that come inside of their own slipcase with the red interior. And practically the manga versions is the same thing as the premium deluxe editions. It's just that they come in a smaller format. So what I'm going to do is crack these books open and tell you exactly about the project. I've interviewed the people behind the project last year, and you can click on the link above to see that interview. But I'm going to showcase the artwork and talk about exactly what this is and what it led to and how you can get the different versions of this particular box sets, because these were Kickstarter exclusive, which you could still find on Kickstarter. But if you're just wanting the hardcovers or the manga editions, those are coming to retailers everywhere, I believe, this month. So let's take a look at volume 1, and we'll do a little size comparison, of course, with the tankobon right here. Okay, the very first thing I want to talk about is, of course, love those gilded pages, the way the book is printed. It's printed like a traditional Japanese manga going from right to left. So that is something to keep in mind. And I've been doing that for a long time here, since the days of Tokyo Pop in the early aughts, or late 90s rather, printing manga from Japan in the right to left traditional format. And speaking of translations and manga being printed in right to left, I'm a huge fan of Osamu Tezuka. I've been collecting his manga and reading his stuff for decades, ever since I was a young kid watching Astro Boy in the early 80s in Peru. However, some of the stories that you're going to find through volumes 1 and 2 are based on properties that haven't been translated into English yet. So I haven't even read the stuff. So I'm coming at them from a new eyes perspective. All right. So what exactly is this about? By the way, I love this right here too. It's got the silver foil right there. In the back of the books, it looks like this is exactly what you're going to be getting from retail. So this is retailed for $39.99. You have your end sheets there, and your title page, and your table of contents. Your table of contents lets you know what story you're going to be looking at and what it's based on originally, and who the creators are. You're going to see some names here that are very familiar to you, especially if you buy a lot, or read a lot rather, of magnetic press books. But some of these folks have been putting out stuff here in America. So this is the way that it's done. Each and every one of the stories, you have a little bit of background as to the original manga from Osamu Tezuka. Like, this is the story of Ayako, which has been printed in America. But the story that is set around this world is called The Mouse. It's by Elsa Bordier, and Sora is the artist. And again, from the traditional right to left format. And if you haven't read Ayako, it does have a really dark story, because Tezuka goes through these periods in his life when he was wanting to do things for kids, wanting to do things for adults, wanting to do things based on his medical degree. Blackjack is one of my favorite. The older I get, the more Blackjack becomes my favorite. That or Buddha. I love Buddha. But the kid in me just still loves Astro Boy. After the stories are over, you have an interview with the creators and talking about the impact Tezuka had on their lives. The Buddha story right here, the Moon Rabbit, is one of the most interesting ones, because, again, it doesn't have to feature the characters that were featured in the manga, but just set in the world of said manga. So this one is about a masquerade that takes place on the moon. They're looking at Earth, and one particular person that's dressed as a rabbit, hence the title of this particular story, The Moon Rabbit. Oh, I'm sorry, by Valerie Mangin and Brice Kosu, is infatuated with Earth. So he just keeps looking. He leaves the masquerade party, puts up his rabbit mask, and his friends are wondering where he went. And where he goes on this journey on the moon, trying to just reach Earth, is a really interesting journey. And much like Tezuka's books, like Buddha, it kind of ends in the way that the Buddha manga title would have ended. Next up is the story of, if I'm not mistaken, this is the Dororo. Yeah. And Dororo is all about a couple of characters. It's named after the little boy named Dororo. But it's basically the story of Hyakimaru. And Hyakimaru was cursed. He was supposed to kill, I think it's 48 demons to get his body parts back. His father made a deal with a demon. And I promise I'm not going to talk about each one of the stories. But I do want people to understand just why some of us love Osamu Tezuka. When I was in Japan, my wife and I made a point to go to the museum, the Tezuka Museum, and to look at the amount of work that he put together in his short lifespan. Because, you have a lot of creators that live such a long time, and he was one of these creators that died wishing that he had lived longer, because he wanted to create more. He's not done creating. And it is a very sad story how he passed away, and not fair. But okay, sorry about that. Let me explain a little bit about this story. So when I said that sometimes the stories are set in these particular worlds, the main characters, for example, here, there's that interview with the Moon Rabbit, don't really appear it's basically about this town that the citizens are being eaten by this demon that keeps taking their body parts. And it's all about this young girl named Shachiko and how her eye gets taken and how the villagers decide to fight back against this demon. Now, do the main characters, Hyakurain and Dororo, end up appearing? Absolutely. Next up is the story of Metropolis. This one is done by Matthew Beble, who has published stuff, but only in color, so it's really cool to see his stuff in black and white. So I'm just going to give you a little bit more here. Midnight is a comic I've never, or a manga I've never read, but it does have a character that shows up in here that I'm very familiar with, and I want people to be surprised. Barber is another one of Tezuka's more adult-oriented stories. It's about a goddess that kind of becomes your muse, if you will. And there's something very similar happens here. This is another book right here that was never translated into English, or at least I'm not aware of. It's My Son Goku. It's, of course, based on the Journey to the West storyline. And this one is done by Kenny Ruiz, who will probably, out of all the creators in here, become very important because there is a series that spins off from the, well, the final story in the next book, in the second volume. Unico right here, one of my favorites when I was a kid. This is an adorable yet, oh my gosh, heartbreaking story about him becoming friends with this little girl who's sick, and all she wants is the next chapter in the Cantalante book series. And there's a reason why the writer, what is his name, Victor something, Victor Lewis, why he will not write anymore. Oh, it's so heartbreaking. It will rip your heart out and stomp on it in a very Tezuka fashion. And then, of course, the back of it, censoring that final page, is an interview with Mig, the comic creator that put that last story together. And this is the last page. So you get an idea as to what this is. Let's quickly look at volume 2 right here. And again, this one also showing retail price of $39.99. I believe these will be available in retail later in the month, this April. And will also be coming out in the manga format. And these are retailed at $24.99 in this tankobon size. We'll do a little size comparison here in a minute. But the only way to get the slipcases and the extra goodies is to go through the magnetic website themselves while supplies last. All right, this one here has a story about Big X, creator and destroyer here, based on Astro Boy. I have to talk about that one. There are not just one, but two Blackjack stories. I love the fact that people love Blackjack. One by Joe Kelly and Ken Nomura, the people that did, of course, I Killed Giants. And Joe Kelly known for his run on Deadpool. So as Justice League, this is the Big X book, even though not his manga was released here, but I am familiar with him because of the show. And this is done by David LaFuente. And David LaFuente is no stranger to some people that have read American comics, such as Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man. This is the one that features the characters of Astro Boy and his sister Uran, and how they go and explore a new planet along with the professor here and this doctor and his assistant. And in a very, very, very Osamu Tezuka fashion of Astro Boy, it has a couple of twists and turns and things that I did not expect. Here's the story that features Blackjack. And Blackjack is not alone. He does come with Pinocchio in both of the stories. And this is by Elsa Brantz and Bertrand Gatignon. And I'm sure I am butchering those names, but at least I have Blackjack and Pinocchio and Osamu Tezuka down. Message to Adolf. This is such a powerful manga. Viz released it many years ago, and then Vertical released it in a series of 2 hardcovers. But it is about the 3 different Adolfs during this particular time in Germany. This story, however, is The 3 Richards by Juan Diaz Canales. And that name may be familiar to some of you if you've been reading the Dark Horse translations of Black Sad, which has been freaking amazing, and I cannot wait for the next book. There's Kimba the White Lion right here. It's the one I grew up with, but this has a very interesting take on Kimba. And there he is when he was Leo, the White Lion. And then Apollo's Song is another one that's a little bit on the I want to say mature side, but it's just a different story than like Unico or Leo, or I keep calling it Leo, Kimba the White Lion, or even Astro Boy. And then this is the story right here of Blackjack by Ken Nomura and Joe Kelly, featuring the character of Blackjack as well as Pinocchio through here. So it's very cool to see these creators have their own take on these characters. That one is called Heartless. There's an interview, 2-page interview in the back. Princess Knight, man, talk about Tezuka just being way ahead of his time. It's about this young, this tells you, in case you don't know about the story of Sapphire, and how in order for her to inherit the throne of Silverland, she has to pretend to be a boy, which has been the basis of some other works of manga and anime, but Tezuka doing it in the 50s is just amazing. And then probably, this is by Elsa Brandt, by the way, my favorite thing out of here, just because I'm a sucker for these type of stories, is the Team Phoenix storyline here by Kenny Ruiz. This was so popular that it spun out into, I think it's a 6-volume manga series. I've read the first 3 and I need to do a video on those. Those have been translated by Udon. This is all when the robot empire has taken over the entire universe, but some organics have built a rebellion against the robot empire. So you have familiar characters in here, and of course drawn by Kenny Ruiz. So you have Blackjack and Hyakimaru, and of course Sapphire, and a couple of other surprises that I don't want to reveal. And I also don't want to reveal who is leading this robot empire because it's so freaking awesome. And I was so excited to read the spin-off series, the manga series that is based on this. I think it's 6 volumes. The first 3 are out so far. And then in the back, you do have the lineup right here of Team Phoenix. Whether it's used in the manga or not, that is up to you to find out. And then, of course, the bio on Osamu Tezuka, and how he ended up passing away at the young age of 60 in 1989. And of course, this is the last page. So to do a little bit of a size comparison, I'm going to compare it to the tankobon here. And the tankobon does have these French flaps right here. It's a little bio on Osamu Tezuka, and also what is Tezukomi. And it's not like a soft cover, it's kind of like a thick soft cover. I don't know if that makes sense, but it is basically the same page count. They have 300 pages each of these volumes. So you have your table of contents, but let's get to an actual page we can compare here. I think this is the perfect example right here of this title page, Big X. Paper stock seems a little bit slicker over here in the tankobon. Over here, they're using matte paper stock, but this kind of gives you an idea of just how much bigger the art is in this deluxe hardcover. And let's just do another quick size comparison. And as far as the way the art looks, because they are using a different paper stock, honestly, it looks just a little bit brighter over here. Seems like the blacks are absorbed better in the matte paper they're using here. So they are using matte paper for both volumes 1 and 2. We've talked about the gilded pages, but they also come with this beautiful ribbon. That's right, I love those things. And sewn binding, while the tankobon has glued binding. But again, the same page count and the same stories collected in the tankobon and in the deluxe edition. Beautiful collections. Oh my gosh, these are absolutely stunning. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing the hardcover editions of the TEZUCOMI books, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of the Deluxe Edition box set and the manga box set. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking this up, if you are a fan of Osamu Tezuka, what your favorite Osamu Tezuka work is, and if you would love to see a continuation of the TEZUCOMI world and other collections like this. I myself really enjoyed this, and it was such an amazing collection. And I hope you do end up checking it out. If you do want the limited edition hardcovers or this box set, those are still available through Kickstarter, but once the box sets are gone, they're gone. But the regular editions of the trade paperbacks and the hardcovers, those will be available through retailers and online. But if that's it, everybody, if you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.